The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon and welcome to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And it's Friday, of course. That's when we're bringing it to you live from the Scottsdale Aero Park. Health Futures, taking stock in you. We are a show about how our older adults can live a healthier, happier life. We've been coming at you from the Scottsdale Aero Park for over 5 years now. It's hard to believe, and we are winding down 2018. It's unbelievable that here we are, December 14th, and we're just 2 weeks away from ending this year and starting a new one. You know, if you're just tuning in, this show is about the guests I bring, and the guests always bring incredible content and really add to some great discussions about healthcare and where it's going. And today's no different. I've got a return guest who's been on the show twice before. He was first on the show in February 2017, and actually he closed 2017 December 29th with Sydney Peck, who is a professor at ASU, and she's also part of this incredible startup called Zero Mass Water. The two of them helped close my show for the calendar year 2017. So I only have Kent here, and while we still have a couple weeks, he is on the leading edge of innovation and technology for the healthcare industry, and he is major league disrupting it, and disruption is something that's happening all around us. Kent, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me.
So for our listening audience, Kent is a serial entrepreneur. He has had a couple brilliant startups that he has brought to market and been very, very successful. Kent and I knew one another, met for the first time about 11 years ago, when he had a company called MedApps. And I remember that product was called PAL, right?
Health Pal.
Health Pal. And it was so innovative back in that day. If you don't mind, just give a real quick executive summary for our listening audience about that experience.
So actually it was one of the, before the kids called it this, it was one of the first IoT of healthcare, which means Internet of Things. And now they call it Internet of Medical Things. But it was a little tiny device that had cellular connectivity in it. To be able to talk wirelessly to scales and blood pressure and anything else, glucometers, that you may need in your care at home. And the whole objective was to make it easy, affordable, simple, to be able to monitor or manage your care outside of, your doctor's office or hospital, keep you out of the hospital, reduce healthcare costs, right? So, but it's interesting as I reflect on it, and I've been doing that a lot over the last, probably a couple of weeks or so, as we think about what we're going to do in 19. What we did with MedApps was, kind of revolutionary a little bit. It started getting people thinking, about, I can consume my healthcare someplace else, right? I don't have to go see a doctor. I can help in some of these new models of care that are coming out where, doctors are paid, potentially based on, not the number of patients they see, but the value of care they provide, right, as well, and cost savings as well. And so it allows, patients to be able to stay connected, feel comfortable in their own home, right, and comfortable with it. But the other thing, just little tiny things if I could add, it's how people interface to technology as well. So one of the things that we did incredibly well was if a doctor said, I want to put you on a blood pressure device, or I want to get your weight, or I'm putting you on glucose readings on a regular basis, problem in this industry a lot of times is they will force the technology onto people, and you have to get in front of it to put it in pairing mode and, try to discover it and, try to get it connected. Then it fails. And then your blood pressure goes up, actually, right? We did it incredibly well where we could actually just touch the device to the other device and it pairs, right? I mean, it became like the Amazon model where you could actually just ship it out and it shows up in your home and it works, right?
It makes sense. It really does. I mean, when you think about it, and I know you and I are becoming more of the old timers, but just think about just the old days of the VHS or video recorders. Yeah. You remember how hard it was just to set the time that none of us, if the power went out, you just never even set the time. It always flashed 12 o'clock.
So what do they say? Like the cobbler's kids have the worst shoes, right? I mean, that's the way it was in my home, too. I'm a technical guy, but I would just let the thing flash 12. I mean, I think it's an old Johnny Carson joke, right, that's out there. Like we have the VCR that flashes 12.
Right.
But you've got to make it incredibly simple.
You do.
And people are like, well, Kent, you're chasing a generation that's kind of caught right now that it's in between smartphones and, the VHSs and stuff. But by the time you get older, everything will have been figured out. No. I'm still going to want things simpler, right? But on the same token, not creepy, right, as well. I mean, I'm not usually a person that worries too much about data. I'll get up on stage and take my weight and show it to the audience, right, and discover what we're doing. And, that would mortify some people. But when I saw the other day that my wife, Kitty, and I go to breakfast like every Saturday and Sunday morning, and my phone pops up and say, it'll take you 22 minutes to get to First Watch. And I'm like, how did I know I was going to First Watch? And I go to work the next, on Monday, and it says, it'll take you 23 minutes to get to this address, and it's my home address. It knows my patterns.
It does the same thing to me. It's creepy, though.
It is.
It really is creepy.
So I turned that off. I mean, I don't want this. And what I lecture about on a regular basis, and my wife's the lecturer in this, is just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it, right? Just because you can collect that data and show it to Kent and freak him out doesn't mean you should do it. That data is important. It's important about how you drive, features and functions and things around you in the future, but you don't have to tell people you're smart and show it to them, right?
Well, it's so interesting to hear you say this. And, I appreciate you just backing up and talking a little bit about MedApps. And, MedApps, I think the thing that made it really cool back in the time is that, all this information, all this data got pushed up to the cloud.
Yeah.
And, cloud-based stuff 12 years ago was, something that was barely even thought of. Now everybody talks about the cloud and, anybody could access this. But you bring up a great point about data because really it is all about the data because data gives us information. Data affords us the opportunity to maybe predict outcomes. And, to see the disruption. And when I talk about disruption, technology and innovation colliding with healthcare and trying to make healthcare delivery better. Yeah. And I think that's what you're trying to do with Life 365.
Yeah.
And and here you are 12 years fast forward. You're in the startup called Life 365. I just went out to your website. Very impressive. And I think what impresses me most is the leadership that you have and the board.
Right.
I mean, Kent, I've known you a long time. I mean, I'm impressed with the people that you know.
Thank you.
And you've really...
Including you.
Well, thank you. I resemble that remark. But
yeah.
No, but in all honesty, I mean, you've really put together, a who's who. And I think that helps you with checks and balances to make sure that you're going down the right path.
So one of the things that, and I think we all have to do this in life, right? Is go through and you can either lead or you can follow. It's just a decision you make. And maybe it's, it's circumstance by circumstance. But one of the things that really I had to come to the revelation, over the last year or so is that really we are a thought leader in this space. That people are kind of asking, where are we going? Where do we want to go? What are the possibilities, right? I'm not saying I'm a Steve Jobs out there, but Steve Jobs basically went through and said, I can put 1,000 songs in the pocket. Was anybody asking for that? Did you go to Steve Jobs and say, Steve, I want 1,000 songs in the pocket? And the answer was no, because you didn't know that was possible.
Right.
And it's my responsibility to show that possibility.
Right. And not to age us, but I remember 8-tracks. I remember cassettes.
Yeah.
And even CDs. I mean, you try to stack all those CDs in your car, and just to put them on that little square, you can put all those songs. It's just nothing short of amazing.
Well, my grandparents told me about 8 tracks. So,
did they?
Yeah. There you go.
And then they made you listen to those stupid songs to get to the song that you needed to hear.
There you go.
Because you had 2 or 3 songs ahead of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to believe, Kent. We're down one segment. We got a lot more to cover because I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing at Life 365.
Sure.
You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I got Kent Dix from Life 365 here in the studio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home? Before you even call a realtor, the first call you should make is to the Lund Mortgage Team to get pre-approved for a loan in just minutes. This way you know exactly what to tell your realtor you are looking for and the budget you have for your new home. Hey everybody, Mark Asher to remind you about keeping it local. As many of you know, I was born and raised in Arizona, so when I see great companies who are all about the Valley, people who grew up in the same area and call the same area I live in home, it makes me proud. It makes me want to use that company. The Lund Mortgage Team is just that. They have been in the Valley for decades and have built their name on trust, honesty, and the true meaning of hard work. They are available nights, weekends, or whenever is convenient for your family to meet. They offer the lowest rates and the lowest fees as well. It's all about you when working with the Lund Mortgage Team. So call today, 623-875-9940. You can also get pre-approved online at lundmortgageteam.com. Call today, 623-875-9940.
Sun Devil men's basketball soared to unprecedented heights last season, and now they're back hungrier than ever. Head coach Bobby Hurley returns to the hardwood with an impressive mix of returning starters, new additions, and highly touted freshmen. Secure your seat to the most raucous arena in the Valley with the ultimate flexibility of a 6-game mini plan. You choose the games you want to attend, including home matchups with Kansas and Arizona, with packages starting at $96. Purchase your mini plan online at sundeviltickets.com. That's sundeviltickets.com.
For people with heart disease, asthma, and cancer, the flu can hit hard. If you're not feeling well, take your temperature frequently with the Exergen Temporal Scanner.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And if you're just tuning in, we're on segment number 2. I've got Kent Dix. He is the Chief Executive Officer for Life 365 here in the studio. And we have been talking really about technology and innovation, combining it with healthcare and the disruption that's going on. And when we left off, we were talking about a lot of different things. One of the things we were talking about was data and how important it is to capture data. But one of the things that you said at the break, and it's so important to really note, just saying the word data makes it so impersonal. And healthcare needs to be more personal. I mean, that's what we're really looking for, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we have a system that we've got architected in called personalized, right? And a lot of people talk about artificial intelligence and, oh my God, it's going to take over the world and everything else with it. Artificial intelligence needs data, right? It needs a massive amount of data that's out there. Doctors don't, right? I mean, doctors are overwhelmed with things that are already out there. I'd rather my doctor, be my quarterback and actually look at trends and stuff that's already out in front of him. Whether it's from patient-generated data that comes from home from me, it's just one data point,
right?
Or things they do from labs through Quest Diagnostics and Snorin or other people that are out there, right? Or through other data points they've done in the office, right? But they all have to kind of fit together into their electronic history and health record and dashboard about me, right? To do that, but data, that's one of the problems we're solving. Obviously, we're solving a data issue. And part of the thing we're solving from a data issue is, we want that data to be acquired at home from you or from my mom, right, to make sure mom's okay, right? Did mom get up today? Did mom take her medication? Is mom's blood pressure in the right range, right?
Is her weight up 10 pounds?
Is it? Yeah. Does she have congestive heart failure and she's retaining fluids and she didn't take her Lasix or other medication, right, that's out there? Those systems that are helping to monitor mom and bigger populations need to have the data. And more so, they need to have the data that's acquired cost effectively as well, right? I'm not going to give a Fitbit to my mom and expect her to stay out of the hospital with a congestive heart failure. It may, but it's probably not going to give me actionable data that I need to know that she's heading back to the emergency room. I'm not going to give a millennial a laptop to keep them out of the hospital because they're probably not headed there anyway, right? So you've got to make the right decisions of what solutions are appropriate to give to people to acquire that data, to be able to maximize their care, keep them out of the hospital. We always say, right solution, right time, right cost for the right outcome, right, for them as well. So, from a consumer perspective, I mean, we sell mainly to people that are financially responsible for the patient. They've got, payers, right, insurance companies, right, that are home health care agencies, large self-insured employers, population health services companies, right, that are out there. Mm-hmm. They need to be connected to the last mile of their patient population and basically go through and say, it's an exception-based processing, kind of thing. Go through and say, okay, 80% of my population is doing well. I've got connectivity to them. They're taking their medication. They're within their baselines and everything else. I'm just going to leave them alone, right? But I want to deal with the other 20% that's not. And so I may have a nurse go out and see them. I may have them come into the office. I may have them connect through different equipment that's more expensive to do. It's all about understanding the populations that are out there, how they want to engage in their healthcare, right? How they want to live independently, and to connect them a certain way, right, through it. So that's what Life 365 is about, is to go look at a variety of people, right? A couple different cliches I'll put out of the way, or rhetoric I'll put out of the way, just say it's 20% technology, about 80% psychology, right? It doesn't mean you have to have the most sophisticated equipment out there to keep a population, compliant and people living independently. The other thing is, I always say that we deal with people from an independence, a safety, and then, by the way, a care perspective, because you can't see, especially seniors, and I'm quickly approaching that area. You can't see seniors as all having chronic illness, right? And, and they can't do things because, they're defined by their disease state. I don't want the population to be seen as wheelchairs, catheters, and things that are white, right? That are out there, that are clinical. I want to see people to be able to age with dignity, right, in their own home.
And age in place, exactly.
Right.
And that's the most desired place to be.
It is.
And you know what? When you sit here and talk about health plans, you talk about the state and federal government, they want you there too. Because it's the least costly.
Well, 90% of people can't afford independent living, right?
Right.
They just can't, right? And when I talk to, CEOs of major health systems out there, I will ask them 10 years down the road, are you building more hospitals? Right. By the way, are you building more independent care and assisted living and brick and mortars? And their answer is no. We're not doing that. We're aging 10,000 people per day are reaching 65, right? We're aging at a tremendous rate right now. But are we going to continue building hospitals and facilities, or do you see the home as an extension of that? And they'll go, I see that extension. We just don't know how to get there quite yet.
So it's interesting you say that. So you're talking about CEOs and really healthcare systems, healthcare providers that are saying this.
Yeah.
All right. So we live here in Arizona, and most of the people that live here know that really the industry here is mainly surrounded by real estate.
Right.
And it is incredible how much development's going on. I mean, just go along the 101 from Scottsdale all the way up to Surprise. Within a half-mile radius of that 101 corridor, you got over 20 communities that are either been built or being built in 2018. Crazy. I mean, and you know what? My challenge with that is I see developers trying to maximize the opportunity here. And one of the challenges I have as a provider of services is, where are we going to get the people? Yeah. Where are we going to get the people to work in food services, to work in housekeeping, to be nurses, to be caregivers, CNAs, you name it, to be able to staff these and have the skill sets to be able to care for people that have dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and other diseases.
So that's the biggest thing we're trying to address as well. We want to be able to give tools, right, to people to manage more people with less, right, out there. And that includes, it's up by now, but I'd say the 70 million family caregivers that are out there as well. They're volunteers, right? Sometimes involuntary volunteers, right, to do that. But they want to be able to have tools so that I want to have tools for my mom and dad, right? They're in independent living in Ottumwa, Iowa. We know the story, right? Mm-hmm. But they want to be connected to us, but they don't want to be creepily connected to us, right? We're just now getting them to start using, potentially Skype, right, to be able to do that and to talk to us on a regular basis. I go back there probably every 6 weeks to see them.
Well, talk to us a little bit about that, because you and I, we both are the same age, and our parents are, I still have one left. You have both of yours left, are about the same age. I know that, it's a good test lab, I guess, for you, for some of the innovations that you're developing to see, or maybe even experiment with Mom.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on.
I know that if I build it, she may not use it, right? From that standpoint. And that's a really good experiment, right, to do as well. Just because you think you're smart and just because you think you can put Bluetooth things together and have it go to the cloud doesn't necessarily mean she wants it. If I would go through and put, a sensor on a refrigerator that showed her that she opened it 20 times during the day and that reported back to my sister would go after her, right, for doing that, and that sensor would come off the refrigerator the next day.
Right.
We have technology. The industry has technology to go through and say, I can put sensors underneath your carpet from your bed. If I saw you got up 7 times during the night and you went to the bathroom, maybe your bladder infection's back, right? And I can automatically have the doctor appointment made in the morning, and I can have Uber show up at your front door. People don't want that.
Right.
They don't want that level, right, that's out there. Some may, but a majority of people don't. So when you're...
The adult children do. The individual doesn't, because it's...
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I don't think you want to see everything your mom's doing on a regular basis, your dad's doing on a regular basis. You just don't, right? I mean, it's an invasion of their privacy, but on the same token, them, going back and forth the refrigerator or muddling around or doing whatever they do in their own routine may drive you crazy, right, from that standpoint, but it doesn't them. That's their routine, right?
Right.
So let them, I always say, when you're in a skid, turn into the skid, right? Embrace people on their terms. We call it kind of like life on your terms, right, or life in context, right? So that's what Life 365 is about, is allowing you to lose the battle but win the war.
Right. No, absolutely. And for me, I think the thing that makes Life 365 really cool is that not only are you talking about monitoring all these things that affect our health, and you're talking about whether it be Bluetoothing your weight, whether it be your blood pressure cuff, whether it be sensors in the carpet, you also monitor the environment. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that, because some of the things that are happening in the environment could be causing health challenges that your loved one may be experiencing. Sure. Well, you're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock, and we're at halftime here. I've got Kent Dix in the house from Life 365. Stick around. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, says the president knew it was wrong when he authorized hush payments to 2 women alleging affairs with Trump shortly before the election. On Good Morning America, Cohen accused the president of not taking responsibility.
Many people know the truth. Under no circumstances do I want to embarrass the President of the United States of America. The truth is, I told the truth. I took responsibility for my actions. And instead of him taking responsibility for his actions, what does he do? He attacks my family.
The deadline has almost arrived today for special counsel Robert Mueller to turn over all documents in the questioning of fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Flynn will be sentenced next week for lying to the FBI. Chris Christie left a meeting with President Trump today saying that he has withdrawn his name from consideration to become the next White House chief of staff. The Dow down 450.
34 million Americans smoke. That's about 1 in 7 people. Not every smoker wants to continue using cigarettes. Juul was designed by smokers for smokers to be a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Juul is a vapor product that contains nicotine for a satisfying transition. If you're one of the 34 million adults who smoke, know that there is an alternative to cigarettes. Make the switch at Juul.com. That's JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Holiday Inn Express wants to let you in on a little secret. There's still time to get at least 20% off at HolidayInnExpress.com during our annual sale. We'll even throw in free breakfast. Just kidding. Breakfast is always included in your stay at Holiday Inn Express. Book now and save at HolidayInnExpress.com. Terms apply.
There are many who call themselves money experts. You're listening to Money Radio, a quarter century of bringing you the best in money experts every day.
Bill Gunderson's Nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 AM, professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Thank you all for your support. This has been a great example of how we can come together. And to show our thanks, we provided these commemorative T-shirts for everyone.
Everyone? What? I only ordered enough for staff.
Are you kidding me?
How's it look?
Houston, we have a problem. Need promotional products for your business in a hurry? How about gifts for the holidays with your logo? Embroid Me of Scottsdale is your source for just about anything you can put your logo on to promote your business. Hats, shirts, bags, pens, cups, gifts, unique and specialty items, and so much more. Whether you need 1 or 10,000 items, Embroid Me will make you look like a million. Visit the Scottsdale showroom on Bell Road, and our branding experts will make your business stand out. Embroidery, screen printing, anything you want to put your logo on. Promote your brand the right way with Embroid Me of Scottsdale. Learn more now. Search Embroid Me Scottsdale or call 480-998-9199. That's 480-998-9199 or search Embroid Me Scottsdale right now.
The following update is for drivers who pay too much for car insurance due to DUIs, DWIs, tickets, or anything else. Our company specializes in low-cost SR22 auto insurance. We know that mistakes happen and offer free quotes for very affordable auto insurance meant specifically for you, the overpaying high-risk driver. The quote is free, and we'll handle the filing so you can start saving money. Call 800-749-2984, 800-749-2984, 800-749-2984.
For people with heart disease, asthma, and cancer, the flu can hit hard. If you're not feeling well, take your temperature frequently with the Exergen Temporal Scanner.
Jim Chesko with Your Money Now. Another major sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials are down 460 points. The Nasdaq has tumbled 122. The S&P is down 43. Another apology from Facebook. This time it's for a bug that the social network says may have affected up to 6.8 million people who used a Facebook login and gave permission to third-party apps to access their photos. Facebook says the bug has been fixed, but indicated some third-party apps during a 12-day period in mid-September may have had access to a broader set of photos than usual. Shares of Starbucks are down 2.75% today. The coffee giant late yesterday lowered its long-term earnings forecast slightly. U.S. retail sales increased a meager 0.2% in November. Non-store retail sales, e-tailers like Amazon, jumped a little over 2%, while purchases at gas stations dropped more than 2% amid falling prices. Oil futures are sharply lower. Near the close, January crude down 2.4%. That's Your Money Now.
Ask yourself, if you built a van for your business, where would you start? At the beginning, of course, with the people who invented the work van over 100 years ago, Mercedes-Benz. You'd give your new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter advanced technology and safety to keep you connected and protected. You'd make it available in diesel and gas, and there would be thousands of configurations and upfits to choose from. You build it right here in the USA, because your one-of-a-kind business deserves nothing less than a van that's built for you. Introducing the all-new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, the safest, most innovative Sprinter yet, starting at just $33,790. Built for you, the all-new Sprinter, built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz, vans, born to run.
MSRP excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details about costs and terms. Equipment described as optional. 2019 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter available soon.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, we're in our second half here, and I got Kent Dix here in the studio. He is the CEO of Life 365. And if you missed the first two segments, go out to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button up on the very top. The third button down is radio shows. We've been bringing these to you for 5 years now, so we probably have about 250 of them there. And now we'll have 3 of them that I have done here with Kent Dix. So when we left off, Ken, on the second segment, you know, we were talking about some of the readings that you get. And one of the things we talked about, too, was, you know, environment and social determinants. And I want to pick up where we left off.
Yeah, part of the thing we were talking about before is I think when we did our previous company, we talked about MedApps, right? I would get golf claps by going through and talking to a spirometer or to, a blood pressure device or bringing in weight to the cloud and going through, alerts and alerting a doctor, and they can intervene and change and medication or whatever and keep somebody out of the hospital. Now, when that data comes in, it's got to be smarter. Mm-hmm. So if a COPD reading comes in from somebody, like their severe COPD, now people are going to go through and say, what was, the pollution level outside? What did the Nest thermostat say? Did you dip out and see if they turned off their electricity or not? Because a lot of programs that my customers are doing are around social determinants of health, right? They're looking at regional, economic, social. One of my customers will go out, Susan Courts here in town with Catalytic Health Partners, brilliant entrepreneur, brilliant program she's doing in Tucson and here in Phoenix. But she'll go through and say to somebody, what do you want to do a year from now? Well, I want to walk down the aisle with my daughter. Well, we better get you walking, right? What do you want to do next month? Well, my apartment actually doesn't work well for me. Let's get you a new apartment. What do you want to do today? Well, I'm hungry. Well, let's feed you, right? So if we get in data from the home and it's wrapped around all this other stuff and we find out maybe they turned off their electricity and it's cold in their home, maybe that's exacerbating their lungs. Maybe they didn't refill their medication. Right? Maybe we can solve that problem by paying their electric bill. Sounds really strange to do. Like, I'm going to pay your electric bill, but we're all economists, right? Isn't it better to pay a $200 electric bill than a $10,000 emergency room or hospitalization?
Absolutely.
Right, to do? So we have to think differently, and you're seeing things differently. CMS has come out with some new programs that are coming out in 2019 where they're going to start paying for food, right, for people. They're going to start paying for transportation.
They're going to start paying for home care, in-home care services,
Correct.
Which is brand new. Doing that part of the Medicare Advantage plan.
And a lot of things that we're doing, they're going to start paying for as far as devices, connectivity, doctors getting paid for it. You're going to see, and it started, it's probably started 20 years ago, but it started at least 10 years ago, an evolutionary change in this industry where, instead of, there's a commercial that's out there that shows the doctor waiting on the patient instead of the patient waiting on the doctor. Dynamics are going to change, right? That are out there. Not that we want that to happen to, the doctors and stuff like that, but patients are going to start wanting to consume health care on their terms, right? They want what they want when they want it. I'm a big disruptor in the space. I'm a big thinker trying in this space too. But here's my big thinking. I think a consumer and a patient are the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I do. So
no, and I think you're spot on.
What engages you as a consumer is going to engage you somewhat as a patient as well. So we should be looking at that kind of the same way. So, you know, if you see Dollar Shave Club out there and HelloFresh and you see, you know, Walmart.com and stuff and things are coming to your front doorstep, that's how your health care is going to be delivered in the short future, right, as well. Where you want it to be delivered. It can be delivered behind your smart TV. It can be delivered behind your laptop. It can be delivered to your front doorstep, right, to be as well. You know, so you're seeing this convergence is occurring in the marketplace. I mean, what? Aetna just merged with CVS that just completed a couple of weeks ago. You know, Walmart's probably going to go after, you know, Humana or another payer that's out there. Walmart already has, you know, what are called accountable care organizations, right, that are in the South. They're already bringing in Quest Diagnostics for testing into the stores, right? They're becoming mini clinics already, and now they're going to be responsible for the patient population that goes to the front door. I always kind of joke around and say, now that Walmart's going to be responsible for patients, is McDonald's going to go away from the front door and now Subway's going to be there, right, instead? Right?
And you brought up the example about CVS. I mean, they have those mini clinics or whatever inside the
And so does
CVS.
Walmart.
Right.
Right, and dentistries are going in as well. And then they're now starting to be putting in connected home health to Walmart as well. So now they can connect to the community and deliver services outside the store as well, right, to do that. So the dynamics are all changing. So if you go through and say, I'm not building any more brick and mortar hospital systems, you know, then what's occurring here, you know, is starting to drive care to home. Like one of our largest customers is American Medical Response, AMR Ambulance. They have 65,000 employees in the United States, all 50 states. So why would an ambulance company that always picks up people and takes them, you know, to a hospital or a destination, you know, be interested in the home? Because they see the trend reversing.
Right.
They see the trend reversing where, like I discussed to you offline, I get bouts of AFib every once in a while. Guess when it shows up? Saturday morning, and guess what I have to do? I have to go to the emergency room, and it's a $3,000 bill for my deductible to do that.
And what are they doing? Just cardioverting you?
No, they're doing 12-lead ECG and taking blood tests and iStat and going, it's not AFib, go see your doctor on Monday morning.
Oh, man.
But it still costs money, right, to do that and time.
Well, at least it happens Saturday morning. It doesn't disrupt your work week.
That's true. That's true. But under the new models, like the AMR, they would have, you know, fast response teams come to me. Right. Maybe they're contracted with United Healthcare, and that's my insurer. And I call one number, right, and a fast response team shows up and does a 12-lead at home, and maybe it's $500,
right,
and not $3,000.
Right.
So you're going to see all this changing, especially with autonomous cars coming and care. I mean, we're starting to work with General Motors and actually start seeing care come to the patient instead of the patient coming to care, right?
Absolutely. And you do know, speaking of that, right here in our backyard, you look at Barrow Institute, they have it where these vehicles can come to your home if you've had a stroke,
absolutely,
and get a TPA started immediately.
Yep.
You know, because as you know, you have that 4 or 5 hour window to bust up that clot before there can be permanent damage.
Yeah, BNI is very progressive in that. I mean, very, very much do that. And you're going to see more of that occurring. But when I started going through and saying, here's CVS and Aetna, here's Walmart and Humana, you know, Amazon is going to spend a $500 billion in healthcare. I was waiting for you to talk about Amazon. Right? So they've already said they're going to spend $500 billion. So, you know, is Amazon going to buy Walmart and Humana? Is Google or Apple going to buy, you know, CVS and Aetna? Will McKesson buy, you know, Walgreens, so that you have population distribution, face-to-face, tech, retail, healthcare? I mean, think about the 10,000 CVS locations. They now become mini warehouses, smaller store space, bigger warehouses, so that you can get goods and services to people faster into the community-based care to be able to do that, right?
Right. And the autonomous car can come by and they just put it in there and they can deliver it to the home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, we don't know how autonomous cars are going to work in the future. Are they just going to be rented as we need them, like an Uber is, right? We don't even own a car, and we just pay for usage.
Right.
I mean, people envision that, you drive it to work, and then it goes and does its thing during the day, gets its oil changed, and picks up your laundry, and picks up everything else, and comes back and picks you up, and goes and parks in the garage.
Do you realize that, and I digress here, but do you realize that over a third of our population, these kids today that are turning 16 years old, decide not to get a license?
I didn't know that.
When you and I were kids, it was a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I couldn't wait to go get my driver's license. But now, very few are doing it because why?
Right.
Why would they? They don't need to.
Yeah. So it's interesting. This is the conversation we kind of had with General Motors. Like my parents, probably should stop driving at 80. That Uber and Lyft and other things now allow them to go much longer, right? From that standpoint, they're not driving. Mm-hmm. They're now using vehicles that are out on the road to deliver them and have mobility, right, to do it. It gives them options. And what's interesting to me when I'm traveling around the country, I am seeing more and more seniors using Uber and Lyft that's out there to be able to go to parties with friends,
or
right? Dinner.
Yeah.
Right, to do.
I see that, too. I see a lot of that. You and I have so much to talk about, and it's hard to believe we're down 3 segments.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you back and let you just host your own show, and you can
Awesome.
You can talk to our listening audience. Seriously. We're winding down our 3rd segment. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I've got Ken Dix here in the studio. He is with Life 365, an innovator, a disruptor, and one that has really embraced innovation and technology to change the face of the way healthcare is being delivered. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Steal your crown. So it started.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Been thinking about changing your cleaning service? Hi, I'm Mike from Service First Commercial Cleaning, the Money Radio cleaning guy. I'm a Money Radio listener just like you, and I always try to get the best return on my investments. Shouldn't you do the same when it comes to the cleaning of your workplace? Look, it's not rocket science, it's just cleaning, and it's either clean or not, right? At Service First, our philosophy is simple. Happy cleaner, happy client. We pay our cleaners top dollar to ensure they take ownership and are highly motivated to consistently do a great job. We are a full-service provider you can trust for all your commercial cleaning needs, including tile, carpet, and more. If you're ready to make a change to better service at a great price, call us at 480-264-4844. I'll meet with you personally to discuss your cleaning needs, and I'm happy to work within your budget. If you want to increase quality and reduce costs, call today. I'm Mike from Service First, the Money Radio cleaning guy, at 480-264-4844. That's 480-264-4844. You'll be glad you did.
This is David Kogan with Eliances, ELIANCES.com. Unlock the secrets to Richard Branson, founder who we interviewed, Big Lots CEO, president of Telemundo, founder of North Face, Chuck E. Cheese founder, and hundreds more every Monday at noon and Saturday at 7 a.m. on Money Radio. Go to Eliances.com, ELIANCES.com to unlock the secrets of some of the most successful people in the world. Eliances.com.
Make Burlington your one-stop holiday shop for the hottest gifts for everyone. Name brand watches, gift baskets, wireless, sweaters, toys at a fraction of the price. Burlington, gifts for everyone.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And it is Cowbell Friday, as you can hear. Working for the Weekend Lover Boy. Don't you remember those guys?
Yeah, my grandparents told me about it.
They really?
There you go.
So I've got Kent Dix here in the studio. We're on our fourth segment. If you missed the first three, catch them up on our website at CypressHomeCare.com. Under the media button, third button down, radio show, and you can catch this one and many others. So, Kent, we're getting ready to wrap things up. We probably have a solid 8 minutes here to really kind of end our show. You know, we've talked a lot about Life 365, and I'd love for people to learn more. They can go to Life365Inc.com. But I want to just take this last segment and kind of like what you and I and Sidney Peck did last year at the end of the year. Let's talk about the future. Where do you see healthcare going? What do you expect to see in 2019?
So I'm incredibly optimistic about where healthcare is going in the future. Now, we started having this conversation 10, 12 years ago, and companies like, Google, Microsoft started with HealthVault, Qualcomm, General Electric, Intel, AT&T, Verizon, all these companies, actually non-traditional companies, were coming together to try to solve healthcare's issues. And it became somewhat of a false start because healthcare wasn't ready. They go through, and AT&T would go through and say, I want to be able to attach to millions of subscribers, right? Sorry, millions of subscribers. But healthcare would go, okay, we'll start with 100, right? Because it was still how the doctors got paid. They still had to have people come into the hospital to be paid, right, as well. And now it's changing, right?
It is changing. No, for sure. And, for our listening audience, I've had the pleasure of having a number of different guests here on the show. And, I had from HybridChart, Greg Sanders. I mean, talk about change. I mean, he's trying to change the face of healthcare using innovation.
Right.
I mean, trying to eliminate all the process and the paperwork and the redundancy and trying to use technology to help push things through.
So we've noticed our doctors are showing up in the exam room with a laptop under their arm, right?
Right.
And that's because...
Or tablet.
Yep. And it's because now electronic health records are getting out there, and this has started kind of over the last 10 or 12 years. But all of this stuff had to catch up with people. We had to get government aligned a certain way to reimburse, for health care outside of the hospital and the point of care. We all thought it's necessary, but we had to convince them, and we had to. Healthcare is like, okay, this is great. We'll start a pilot and try it, and once that's done, we'll try it again with another 200. And it's a very slow process to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a slow process, and from a healthcare standpoint, we've got to be able to, they've got to be able to, from a provider standpoint, figure out how to bill it, and they got to substantiate it, and you got to get a CPT code and everything like that to make that happen. So, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. You got to substantiate it, and pilots are happening all over the world, and certainly I would imagine when you first jumped on MedApps, you were doing lots of pilots, and you're doing the same here with Life 365.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we did a lot with Cleveland Clinic and with Microsoft and other people that are out there, Qualcomm. But healthcare wasn't ready to adopt yet. I mean, people, didn't even know it was possible to be able to be monitored at home, right, and have your doctor review it, and you didn't have to go to the doctor. To be honest with you, people today still don't know that.
Right.
It's not very prevalent, right, to do that. I mean, consumers are not very engaged into their own healthcare. I mean, sometimes they are out of necessity, right? I mean, if you're a dialysis patient and you don't do dialysis, that has consequences, right? If you're a cardiac patient, you don't do things, that has consequences. But trying to get the public more aware, right, that these things are available to them and cost effective, and somebody else may pay for it. The big adage I say in this industry is just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you've got to find out who's going to pay for it, how it's going to get used, and everything else. So getting back to the bullish side of 2019, with this convergence that's occurring with the retail drug spaces and Amazon coming in, the one thing I will just say to any customer I go to, any C-suite I go to, and every large customer is like, if you don't change, Amazon will eat your lunch, right? And they will be very, very reactive to it. Some people could be incredibly anti-Amazon. Some people are thinking maybe Amazon will get an antitrust, situation because now they're going into healthcare,
right?
And they're getting too big. Did you know that Amazon is bigger than 15 of its competitors below it?
I believe it.
Combined, right? Including Walmart.
And this was a book company back in the 90s, where you could get used in new books, and everyone was like, what's this guy Jeff Bezos up to,
Yeah.
And look at him now. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the thing about Amazon, and, a lot of people don't know what's going on, and this is one of the statements I want to make, is that, Amazon is very protective of what they're doing. They bring all these innovators together in their AWS group. They're analyzing and looking at them. Amazon has a partnership with Jamie Dimon from Chase, also with Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot going on, but they're very secretive about what they're working on.
They are. I was just up there, 2 days ago.
Right. And then you look at some of the others that are very open source. I digress over to Aging 2.0, and I went to the Optimize conference this year, Kent, and Lyft and Uber weren't there. The only big player there was Google.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking to myself, this is supposed to be a platform or curator where innovation, tech, and aging come together, but I think we're in a race right now with 10,000 people a day turning 65, and we have to really come up with ways to innovate and differentiate and be able to keep people at home. And the way to do that is more of a collaboration, but the big guys aren't collaborating. I didn't see Microsoft there. I didn't see Facebook there. I didn't see Twitter there. I don't see Apple there. They're all doing their own thing.
They are. I mean, Microsoft has actually tried this in previous iterations of this environment with Health Vault and stuff and the enterprise stuff, and that was just too early, right? To this. Apple is kind of just Apple domain, right? I mean, they're going to do stuff around Apple users, right, and stuff. If you actually know the essence of healthcare, the way we're building on Life 365, it has to be transparent. It has to be in the background. It has to be disposable, right, from that. I mean, Apple Watch is not disposable, right, from that standpoint. But we want little things that are disposable. If you send somebody home with a chemotherapy treatment and, our Careable device, maybe we can keep them taking their medication on a monthly basis. And, a chemotherapy treatment is $28,000 a month, right?
Right.
You miss one, bout of that medication, you just ruined the therapy, right, to do that. So I'm incredibly optimistic about 2019 because of this convergence that's occurring in the space. People are becoming, it's all like lining up. People are becoming more independent. They want to live life on their terms, right, to be able to do that. They want healthcare. They want what they want when they want it, right, to do that. And that's where we're going to help service, is to get those trillion-dollar channels that are emerging to be able to connect them to their consumers properly.
Ken, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. And, I am optimistic about our future. I'm going to definitely invite you back, maybe even guest host for our listening audience.
Sure you want to do that?
I do. Well, listen, you've been listening to How Future's Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. Kent Dix was in the house. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next Friday.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa, Phoenix, and K287BX Mesa. You're listening to the Valley's only source for full-time financial news and money talk on the radio, Money Radio. Take a look at the market. Dow down 469 points at 24,126. S&P down 46 at 2603. And NASDAQ NASDAQ down 139 at 69.31.
Talk about money. This is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin